So welcome everyone. We're back. Jerry DePaul with Guaranteed Rate, and this is our podcast, Achieving the American Dream. I'm here again with Kim Keefe. She's an amazing realtor, one of the top producing, probably the top in all of Northern Illinois. So we're very happy to have you here. And we're just going to go through some lender and realtor questions and answers, and maybe, you guys can learn something as far as maybe getting into the real estate market. So yeah, Kim, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it.
Well, and I appreciate being here as well. There's been lots and lots of exposure for us already as a result of our first adventure together.
Yeah, good.
So thank you for that, for the invitation.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, no, we're trying to, just get the word out because obviously, in my opinion, and I'm sure yours, homeownership is one of the most important topics. Our nation seems to be declining in homeownership rates, having to do with a number of factors with inventory and interest rates. But it's my goal here, and I'm sure it's Kim's too, to make sure that we in our area do not become all renters. We want to be homeowners and gain wealth and equity through homeownership.
And is that not the best benefit of all? Just like the amazing amount of wealth that homeowners have in comparison to renters. And I've always said this, when the economy was crashing and burning in 2008, 9, 10, and I remember having some folks say, I just want to rent.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've heard that too, during those times. Now, I want to address those times though too, because the age group that saw their parents go through all that are kind of doing the same thing. I just want to rent because I don't want to do or go through the emotion, because it was an emotional time for everyone. People were losing their homes, and they don't want to go through that. So they're holding off on buying, and they're wanting to rent because of that. But
well, when I think about that, and when people said that, when they said those words to me, what I feel like happened is that initially it solved the burden and the problem of where they were in life during that period of time. But within that next year or within 2 years, for sure, almost every single one of those renters came back and said, all right, I don't want to rent anymore.
Right. Because you lose control. You lose control of, if you have your kids in a school, you don't know if you're going to renew your lease and you're going to have to move. Maybe you have to move out of the school district because there's nothing more available in the school district. That's a uprooting event for your kids. You don't want to see that happen. You can't do any upgrades or make it like how you want it. You just have to kind of go with the flow and what it has. You're going to ask to do anything, to paint, to,
put a hole in the wall.
Right. I'm redoing my kitchen cabinets right now. If I was renting, I wouldn't be doing that. Right.
So, I had a tenant call on Sunday and said, oh my goodness, I think the thermostat is broken on my air conditioning unit. Right. So we said, great. My husband and I looked at schedule and made a reach out to one of our contractors, that could help us. And they said, great, I could be there on Monday. And so we relayed that to the tenant, and she said, it's 82 degrees in here. I must have this done now. And I said, well, if it was my home, maybe I would have paid 3 times extra for the contractor to come change the thermostat out. But otherwise, we're going to wait till Monday. That makes sense.
That brings up a great point too, because some people are reluctant to purchase because they don't want to go through and fix things that break like that, right? But a lot of people don't realize. Can you speak of some of the home warranties that are kind of amazing that are out there and available for people when they buy a house?
Absolutely. Yeah. So home warranties have been a friend of the real estate industry for so many years, and for different reasons too. And right now, in this particular market, which is unlike most any other market, the best use for a home warranty, which will, for a small amount of money for this insurance policy, will help to repair or replace or just remove.
We're talking like $300 or $400, and sometimes the sellers pay for it.
Sometimes the sellers pay for it. So it covers things like appliances, roof leaks in some cases. You can have additions for pools and hot tubs.
And it usually covers you for like the first year or maybe even 2, but you can renew it as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it really gives a buyer peace of mind. So if you're buying a home with a 35-year-old furnace that might be near the end of its life, for that next year, the buyer has the ability to call an 800 number, pay a small deductible, and get their furnace
It's like
fixed.
$50 usually or
Yes,
something
yeah,
like that.
50 to 100.
And refrigerators, stoves, any of that stuff, right? And
Exactly.
plumbing, if
Yes.
any,
Plumbing leaks.
electrical, so all that
Exactly.
stuff that you are getting taken care of because you have a landlord, you're making that call,
Right.
can be handled through that. So if you're not handy, you don't need to be to own a house. You
Exactly.
can definitely do it with these insurance policies and things like that. So I'm glad we covered that. But
Yeah.
I just wanted to circle back to the 2008 problem that we had, and that
Hmm.
those were the years where real estate actually lost value,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
But I think the most we saw as far as dip in value, I think was like 7 to 8% was like one of the years.
Correct.
And if you look back in history, over 100 years, there was 4 years in history where real estate went down.
Hmm.
One was like in the 1980s and it was down like 1%.
Hmm.
And then there was like 2008, 9, and 10, I believe, or 7, 8, and 9,
Hmm.
where 4, 6, 8% was the most it's ever gone down. But
Right.
I heard this year so far, how much are we up on real estate appreciation?
Oh, that's a great question. What do you know? What did you
Well,
read?
I read that we're approaching 8% already as far as appreciation for the year. And last year's numbers were around that level as well. And you look back into 2020, in the COVID years, it was up 22% in one year.
Hmm.
Unbelievable appreciation. And when you look back at the 100 years of history and you're like, okay, only 4 years was it down. And when it was down, it was only down a couple percent.
Couple
And it
percent.
came right back.
Right.
No one should be afraid of a real estate crash or the prices are going to come down. And you really shouldn't be waiting to buy a house because unfortunately, it's all about supply and demand. And
Hmm.
we are very low on supply. And there's a lot of demand.
There's a lot of demand.
And that's not going to end because of how short we are on homes. 7.5 million homes short was the last number I saw.
It's a
So
big number. And
yeah.
and that still, when you talk about rentals, there aren't there aren't a great number of rentals either. So
Hmm.
we were just talking in the office at a meeting, and there are 3 or 4 offers to rent one particular home, and what does that do? It drives up the rental rate as well. So
Right.
it's really a catch-22 because
Hmm.
our renters are having trouble finding homes as well. So what do you want to do? Pay more money in rent per month, or just go ahead and make the purchase now
Right.
and let that money work for you?
Right. Even if the purchase ended up being a little bit higher than maybe what your rent would be as far as payment wise, maybe $50 or $100 higher, say because rates are higher, you're always going to be able to go back after you purchase a home. You can always renegotiate that mortgage and renegotiate the rate, refinance, um, and lower down your payment when the rates do come down because there is a lot of sentiment. Everyone's basically agreeing that our economy is slowing down a little bit, and as soon as you know the job numbers look a little weaker, unfortunately, that's when rates get better.
Hmm.
We're going to see that time where everyone that bought a house now is going to be able to take advantage of these lower rates when the rates come down and have much lower payments than at that point than if they were renting. So
Can we go back to that rate conversation? I remember
yeah.
when we met last time, we talked about there being an anticipated drop in rates,
Mm-hmm. There still
based,
is.
right?
Yep. Right.
Yep, based on, and we had a meeting in June when the Fed met, I think, or
Yeah.
June. We had a meeting in March when the
March.
Fed met,
Right.
and there was an expectation that we might see a rate cut. Can you speak to how and why and what were the dynamics?
Well, it wasn't necessarily that we were expecting a rate cut. We were just expecting better numbers on inflation because we saw a little bit of an uptick. Because inflation all of 2023 was kind of getting under control and coming down, and there was good numbers every report. And then that March report, we saw an uptick, right?
Okay,
So, charts always go like this, right? There's always ups and downs, hills
right.
and valleys, right? Because now, after that report's come out, there's been many reports of inflation getting a little bit better, or like I said, the labor market weakening, and because the labor market's been very strong these last few reports. I don't know where all the jobs are coming from. I think a lot of them are part-time jobs.
Okay.
I think a lot of them are people unfortunately having to get a second job,
Mm,
so it's causing those labor reports to look strong
gotcha.
when in reality it's one person doing two jobs. So
Yikes.
um, there has been reports and sign of the labor market weakening, which is going to in turn when we hear unfortunately, more bad news about that. That's when interest rates. That's when the Fed will start easing their restrictive policy that they have currently on us. I don't foresee any rate hikes at this point. There's people saying there'll be two cuts this year, one cut. At some point by the end of the year, probably right before the election, we're going to see a
Right.
cut.
Right. Right on. Like as I said, the best part of an election.
Right. Exactly.
So I don't know if you know this, but our team has a brand new listing at 24 North Oak Street in
Oh,
Crystal
no,
Lake.
I did not know that.
It might be just over $1 million. It is a downtown, amazing,
Is
gorgeous
it a Victorian
home.
home or
It is a 1928 home that's been,
okay?
of course, maintained, remodeled, and
Sure.
really brought up to modern day standards,
That's
but with the
awesome.
charm
Hmm.
of that, kind of roaring 20s
Right.
flair.
I love
And
it.
it's so close to Metra and downtown Crystal Lake
Yeah.
and the beautiful lake and all
It
the
sounds like
things.
someone in the busy city that works in the city should come and move into that home here in Crystal Lake,
I like
live in
it.
the suburbs, have the nice suburb lifestyle, and just take the train to work. It only takes like 40 minutes. I take it downtown a lot to our corporate
Right,
offices in Ravenswood.
right.
So literally, it only takes 40 minutes on the
It's all
metro,
about the
and
express
and
train.
and I get work done the entire time. I'm on the phone, or I'm doing something else, or I'm learning something on TikTok, or
Right.
whatever.
Podcasts,
Right?
great
Exactly.
place to learn about mortgages
Exactly.
and things. So,
Exactly.
could you speak to us about just jumbo loans and
Yeah.
what does the environment look like for that?
Sure. Well, the jumbo market always has a little bit of a higher interest rate than the conventional market
Mhm.
rates. But here at Guaranteed Rate, we do something a little bit different than other mortgage companies, to be honest. And I don't want to. Maybe I'm giving too much secrets away, but we kind of limit the commission that I would make as a loan officer. We limit it at a certain amount. And the money that I would have made on the loan as a loan officer, we give back to the client to buy down the
Oh,
rate. So
interesting.
we're being able to compete with, you know, Chase Private Client or, Wells Fargo, whatever they call I can't remember. I used to work there. I don't even remember what they call it. But private client,
Hmm.
usually you get better rates and things like that. We're either right there or sometimes we're able to beat those rates. So it's a very, it's a little cut on my part. But the thing is, I'm hoping to give a service. I want to be able to maybe get a referral. Maybe I'll get
Right,
two or three more loans out of, being
right.
able to give someone a good jumbo rate. You only have to put 5% down on a jumbo loan here, guaranteed rate. Most places, banks you go to, you're going to be 20, 25% down for a jumbo loan. We have products with 5% down. We have products with no mortgage insurance with 5% down
Wow.
on a jumbo loan.
So, Jerry, when you mentioned the lawsuit and changes resulting in that, the other biggest and best feature, I think, of this opportunity to get better has been the exclusive buyer agency
Yeah, I
conversations.
like it. I think it's
More
good.
than any time before.
Hmm.
There always were exclusive buyer agency agreements, and very few agents use them.
Right.
And now, really, there will be agreements for everybody,
Yeah.
and the buyer will know exactly who's paying for their commission,
Right.
where does that money come from, how is it being used, how are they benefiting
Hmm.
from this
Yeah.
from this compensation.
Yeah.
And it's a great just explanation, walking buyers through, here's how we get paid, here's what it looks like,
Hmm.
sign here, we're going to represent you, we're 100% looking out for your best interest, and this is how we move forward.
So, can you explain how that works when they sign that buyer's agent agreement? It's for a certain period of time,
Hmm.
and I think this is better because it's going to make people, when they're look for an agent, actually kind of shop for the right agent that fits them better, rather than,
Absolutely.
there was a lot of people on going on Zillow, and Zillow lists the listing agent's phone number right there. So a lot of
Hmm.
people were just calling the listing agent, and it's not necessarily how you should do it because the listing agent's working for the seller. They're trying to get the highest price for the seller. A buyer's agent's on your side trying to negotiate the lowest price for you. So
Hmm.
can you kind of explain how when they're signing, what are they signing exactly? I mean, it's going to show the commission, how much they're going to get paid,
Right. So there's a
which normally is
minimum.
paid by the seller.
Right. Right. So there's a compensation amount, and as a buyer's agent in this case, then I would state, this is what I work for, and the buyer would be we would looking for buyer agreement to pay what we
Yeah.
expect to get compensated in managing the transaction and representing their best interests. So that part is really important, but it does outline this agreement, the tasks that we are going to do for them on their behalf,
Hmm.
the length of the contract, which might be long term, it might be for one home, it might be for 1 week in some cases,
Right.
because we're just getting to know each other. But we
Right.
still need to have this agreement that when I work for you,
Hmm.
we're going to get paid. And in some cases, it might be, kind of like a dating period.
Yeah, you don't have to. It doesn't have to be an agreement that's super long if you're not
Exactly.
sure about
Exactly.
that buyer's agent. You could say this is going to be just for 2 days
Exactly. Right.
until I want to sign a longer one. So
Exactly. You
yeah.
might get tired of every 2 days
Well,
renewing
right,
this buyer
right.
agency, but it's a great
But
way to say,
but isn't it
let's get to know.
like when you do an open house? Do you have to do that?
So, in the open house, no,
Oh,
because we
good.
would be holding the home open for all potential buyers
Okay,
to come
okay.
take a look. But if any one of those any of those buyers wanted to see other homes,
Or
then
make
there
an
would
offer
be an
on that
agreement
home.
or make an offer on that home.
Then they would have to
Correct.
sign that first.
Correct.
Okay. Well, that makes it a little easier. I thought, for some reason, I thought that everyone that came into an open house was going to have to sign a buyer's agency
No,
agreement. That would be a kind of a nightmare, right?
exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
that's good. That's
hmm
good.
So we had talked about multiple offers too, Jerry, and
Hmm.
I'd love to, without giving up all of your greatest tricks and tips,
Sure.
but I know you do some exceptional things
Yeah.
when one of your buyers writes an offer
Yeah.
and we come upon multiple offers.
Absolutely. I mean, I obviously I'm updating pre-approval letters all weekend long. You have to be resilient in this market. I tell people. I tell people everything happens for a reason. Because you get excited when you find a home that you like and you want to just buy it. Like you could just click a button on Amazon and get it, and it's delivered tomorrow, right?
hmm
It's a little different with real estate. You're in a competitive, environment. It's kind of only the only business that I know of like that. I mean, maybe like buying horses or something. I don't know. Like what else is like that?
Not
But
sure.
but it is a very competitive thing where there's in this market there's going to be multiple offers most likely, especially if it's a nice house in the right area at a good
Right.
price, right?
Right. Well, two offers makes it multiple offer.
Exactly. Two
So,
offers. So, the difference with me, if you use me as your mortgage professional, I'd love to help you. I've been doing this for 24 years in our community. Um, is I'm going to call that listing agent immediately. Basically, I'm going to call them right away and let them know that your financing is solid. We have a program here called Same Day Mortgage. I let them know about that. That just means the first day that we get the purchase contract in, as long as it's before 3 p.m., we'll have the loan approval that same day, which is absolutely unheard of. Usually, a mortgage commitment in a contract is a date where you have to wait 20 days or so to
right.
get that.
Right.
We do that the same day. So I explain that to the listing agent, but I also tell them that we handle appraisals a lot differently than other institutions or lenders. So we have our own appraisal department and our own appraisal panels. And what appraisal panels mean is that we handpick local appraisers that do a good job for us and are very fast to be able to do our appraisals when we make the appraisal order. Um, every other lender that I know of in the area uses something called an appraisal management company, which is a third party kind of to offload some risk, to be honest. When you have a third party on anything, it takes longer, right? So, I let the listing agents know that because sometimes they're worried about the home appraising because we're in an
Right.
appreciating market, right?
Right.
So I let them know that we're going to have that appraisal back within 5 days. I mean, on average, our branch is getting appraisals back within 5 days. We're clearing load and close in 10 days or less, sometimes seven, sometimes six. It's unbelievable how
Wow.
fast our technology has gotten where we're 1,000% on the AI front. Our underwriting, a lot of our files, I think now it's up to 60 or 70% of our files are being completely AI underwritten.
Wow.
Our rate app is how it's happening so fast as well. Our new app we've always had an app, right? We've
Mm-hmm.
always had an app,
Mm-hmm.
had a calculator on it. You could apply for a mortgage.
Right.
This app now has transformed amazingly. There's so much there that you can do. But the speed part of it comes in, like if we need a pay stub, a lot of times we don't because we verify things electronically. But
Mm-hmm.
say we need a pay stub, right? So they'll get a little like you get a notification on your phone for a new TikTok video or new YouTube video. You're going to notifications. Guaranteed rate needs your pay stub. So okay, click on it. Your camera opens. Get your or you can click a file wherever you have your pay stub.
Yeah.
And you upload it, and that instantly goes to the underwriter screen. The underwriter screen, not no processors, and there's nothing in between. It goes right to the underwriter, so they can make a decision and clear that document immediately. Or if it's a document that AI can read, which most of them are, the AI clears it like in a second.
Right. Wow. I'm
So
just thinking about the old days where you had
yeah,
to somehow scan
sure,
and email
right,
or
fax.
but email.
I
I
still
mean,
have a fax number. There are people that do fax me. My home equity conversion mortgage clients, um, which the older baby boomers or older than that even,
right.
you know,
Well,
they fax
and it
sometimes.
seems safer, right? Because you're
Seems safer.
faxing,
It's all the
except that
same.
it goes to your
It goes
email.
digitally
It goes to your
anyways.
email.
All
So
faxes are. There's no one has a printout
I
fax
know.
machine anymore, do they? I haven't seen one.
I hope
And they
not.
out. They just
They
go right to your
disappear.
email anyways.
They disappear.
Yeah,
Anyway, that dissolving, paperwork that just
yeah.
disappears.
It's
So,
amazing how technology, how fast things change. Here's the one: emerging trends in technology in real estate that consumers should know about.
hmm,
What are those?
I don't know. What do you got?
Well, there's the AI factor, right? And you want to make sure, though, this is a relationship business, and it's always going to be. I don't care what you say. No AI robot's going to take our jobs. There's just so much involved when
Hmm.
it comes to questions that come up or advice that you need. This is one of the biggest transactions of your life, and you need another professional person to lean on throughout the process.
I at some point with the changes that have been coming about because of contracting and just kind of decoupling kind of the commission and where it comes from, there's been this flow of information or feeling from people that they don't need an agent to
Hmm.
buy a home, and
Right.
that there's this option for a seller's agent for a seller to not include compensation for a buyer. And when I think about the actual purpose of this lawsuit and the part where it was meant to protect people even further, and what I feel it has done just the opposite in the sense that sometimes sellers are saying, you know what, I'm not going to pay the buyer's agent. Maybe the buyer doesn't need representation. Maybe it's better for me if an unrepresented buyer buys my home. And I just go back to thinking about this is exactly the opposite because
Hmm.
our buyers need a representation
Right.
at every step of the way.
It's
And
very important.
from a seller's perspective, it's really important to have another agent guiding that buyer through these
Mhm.
really emotional and challenging decisions that they need to make regarding home inspection.
Yeah, those
Re-
first 5 days, it's key where you need to have a very close relationship with your
right.
realtor because there's going to be possibly things that come up that need to be negotiated.
Well, to that point, when I even think about just the viewing itself of a home, we'll see sometimes homes go on the market and off the market right away with a contract. And then, have you ever noticed they come back
Right
on the
back.
market available?
Yeah,
Why is
I know
that?
why that is. Because
One of the
they're
reasons.
making like 3 or 4 offers on different homes,
Oh,
I think.
no, I hope not.
Well, I've seen it. So, you know, it's such a competitive market. They come up on for a listing and they just offer right away, right? And they're offering on multiple homes, and maybe they got two accepted.
I hope
So,
not. I hope not. And I don't think that's the case. And
no.
I know that my team would not present multiple offers at the same time for different properties. We're committing to a
Yeah, is that
property.
even allowed? I heard it happening.
I've heard it happening too, but and I feel like I've talked to
Is it allowed?
like, is it allowed?
Because
It's
you're
not ethical.
well, sure, right,
It's not ethical.
exactly.
But to that point, I guess one of the reasons I feel like buyer representation is so important and making sure you have the correct buyer's agent representing you, it goes back to experience. And as an agent, your inspection of a home, personally, not a home inspection, but your inspection of the property
Hmm.
as you're deciding if this is the right property for you, your agent needs to be walking you through pointing out things that are right and pointing out things that are wrong, pointing out things that you could do to increase the value of the property as you own it.
Right.
And I think there's a number of agents who are so excited when somebody says, "Yes, this is it. Let's write the offer. Oh my gosh, I finally found a house for this buyer." But they're maybe not being fastidious in explaining all the things. yeah, there's a crack in this window. There's a tree that's leaning on the house. There's
Hmm.
a crack in the basement that shows visible signs of water in this basement. You need to
Hmm.
know about these things.
Yep.
There's a big slant in the first floor,
Right.
and the doors are cut on an angle upstairs. There's some shifting in this home that's going on. We need to be, as agents,
Mm.
the eyes and the ears and the sounds and
Yeah.
the people that are pointing things out, so that it's not because of the home inspection that the buyer has wasted money and time and maybe missed out on another property,
Hmm.
but they could have identified some of these issues up front
Right.
with the buyer, so they can come in with an offer that makes sense, that's comfortable, and know that, there are some things that are going to have to be addressed.
What I think people should know about all this is that, you know, your home inspection and those things, you have 5 days after your contract's accepted,
5 business days.
really to get out of the contract for any reason, and that's your
Hmm.
time to inspect. But all these offers that are going in, at least on my half that I've been seeing, are all as is. But that doesn't mean
Right.
you can't go into the house and figure out what you're going to have to fix,
Right.
right? You can
Right.
still do all that, but it probably means that the seller, if you do find stuff, they're not going to fix it. It's going to
Correct.
be on you, right?
Correct.
So,
Correct. So knowing ahead of time
yeah,
that, yes, I see, the shingles are curled at the top here. Yes,
yeah.
we might be looking at a new roof in 5 years or
Hmm.
less. But being, educated and aware
Right.
before you write the offer, so that when you say as is, you mean it, right?
Sure.
But there are a lot of things that pop up
Yeah.
that an agent should have known
Right.
before the offer was written, before the home inspection.
And I like how you said you go through and tell them what they could do at low cost to make the home worth more. I mean, literally just doing landscaping makes your house
Yes.
worth more. I mean, painting the cabinets like I'm doing, putting in wood floors and taking out carpet maybe, or
Yes.
changing the light fixtures, right? All
Well,
that little stuff can really improve the value of the
Jerry,
house.
we laugh because I'll help a client with a home, buy it, and I say, okay, so it's set back a ways, but there's a busy road out back. You need to put a little mound. You need to put
Some
some
bushes,
some
pine trees,
evergreens.
yeah,
Absolutely, you need to do this right away, so these things can mature, so that when I come back to sell you this house, it's
yeah,
already in place.
yeah. It's a non-issue when
It's
the
a
trees are
non-issue.
there. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
So we do laugh because sometimes I'll say, "Hey, did you ever put the berm in and put the evergreens in?" And they're
Mm.
like, "No." "Hey, did you ever fix the fence?" "No." "You're gonna do it now." I told you should have done it and enjoyed
Right.
it.
And we have loan products for that. So just so you know, I mean, there's renovation loan products that people can come to me, or home equity line of credit products where they can get the money to do those type of things at lower, at affordable payments
I love
to
those
upgrade the
when
house.
you have you need just a little extra money to
Right.
really fix up the cosmetic issues,
Hmm.
or really maybe open a wall
Yeah.
or close in a wall, just to make it more usable for your family, and having a little bit extra at
Absolutely.
the time that you buy the home, and then wrap it up into your loan.
Yeah. I mean, there's that you could. So just recently, a guaranteed rate has now expanded our home equity line of credit products. So we have a bunch of them now. So there's a home equity conversion, but there's also the regular home equity line of credit, or now you can get a fixed rate second mortgage to be able to take care of renovations. But there's also a lot of people can benefit from consolidating some debt and payments. I mean,
Hmm.
credit card rates, mortgage rates, 6.5, 7. Credit card rates
Right.
are like 20.
30%.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So those payments now are coming due, and they're no longer 0% financing. You can't transfer those things anymore. So, coming to me to help, financially get your house back in order when it comes to monthly payments could really free up some money to do renovations or do other things, go on vacations and things like that. So,
Right.
we're always here to help talk through that. There's never any cost or fees to get our advice, right?
Absolutely.
We're always here to help.
So, Jerry, one of the issues I think in the marketplace right now is that there's kind of a log jam of buyers and sellers,
Hmm.
where buyers are looking for properties. They might have a home to sell, and until their home sell, they can't really be buyers, because if you own a home and you need to sell that home in order to go to the next place, you need to have a plan
Yeah,
for how to get rid of your home in a timely manner, and then still be able to get accepted an offer
right.
as a buyer. Do you have any programs
Oh,
that
yeah,
will?
absolutely. So, I mean, you got to make a non-contingent offer nowadays to win the bid, because there's going to be other offers that are probably all non-contingent on the sale of your house. So we do have many solutions here, a guaranteed rate to be able to, a lot of times you can qualify with being able to basically qualify with both payments. So you could still close on this loan first. I
Hmm.
know you're probably wanting the down payment money out of the walls of that house. There's many different ways you can access that. There's bridge loans that are
Hmm.
available to be able to access those funds in advance,
Hmm.
right? And then being able to close on a house first. And then your house is going to sell rather quickly in this market. So there's
Right.
not really a huge concern there of
Right.
you having two payments. Maybe 1 month you'll have to make two payments. The nice thing though, when you buy a house, you skip a month. So that whole month that you skip, you'll probably close your house in because of the
Exactly.
market we're in, right? But you need to be able to win the bid. So you're able to put as little as 5% down. And if you don't do a bridge loan, a lot of people can borrow the money from themselves. They don't even realize that. I mean, a lot of people do have 401ks.
Hmm.
Even if there's 30,000 in it, 10,000 in it, whatever. Usually, you can borrow half of that. You're not taking it out of your
Right.
401k. You're
Right.
not reducing what you're making in the market. That money's staying there. You're just borrowing it from yourself,
Hmm.
right? And it's going to be a short-term thing, anyways. If you're going to be selling your house, you'll just pay that loan right off and back, right?
Exactly. Yes, that's a great strategy.
Yeah. There's a lot of strategies we have here. We've been doing it a long time. We really appreciate you guys listening, and we hope you learned something here today. And we're going to be back soon again, maybe next month, with another update on where we're at with the market. But uh, we really appreciate having you here, Kim. Thank you
Thank
so much for
you.
being a part of the Achieving the American Dream podcast. We do not want to be a nation of renters. We all want to be homeowners and build wealth in our nation and then help our community grow.
Yes, thank you again.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right, perfect.